Hello everyone, thank you for watching another episode. Today we're going over the characteristics and the symptoms if you have a bad ball joint. So specifically, we'll jump in the vehicle, go for a test drive, talk about what generally you will hear, and I also have a separate camera with an external microphone, and I hope to pick up the sounds that I'm hearing. Lastly, we'll jack up the vehicle. I'll show exactly what the part looks like, where it's located, maybe some other things you may want to look at if you're hearing thunks and thumps as you go down the road, and hopefully you can really pinpoint where the problem is. Okay, so what you want to hear is once you go over a bump, any slight bump, does not even have to be anything outrageous. Once you go over any part of the road that is no longer smooth, there's an irregularity into it or in it, you will hear a thumping noise. Now in this case it's coming from the front driver's side. So let me find some bumps here. I will come in for a different audio in a moment. But anytime you go over a bump, right there, you can hear it's almost like a clunking sound. Now it could be any direction. In other words, your wheel, the steering wheel, could be perfectly straight. It could be an extreme turn, not an extreme turn. In other words, sometimes you'll hear noises if you're taking a sharp turn, and that's typical of a bad CV joint. If you hear a noise that it gets louder the faster you go, that's typically a bad wheel bearing. In this case, it's just any time we go over a bump. It doesn't matter if you're going slow, if you're going faster, any bump whatsoever. Here's a little bump right here. You can clearly hear, I'm not sure if you can pick it up on the GoPro here, but you can clearly hear it. Let me jump to another camera. I hope you guys can pick that up. I hope it picks up in the audio. But nonetheless, that's what you want to listen for. Again, any direction of the steering wheel, any speed, over bumps, cracks, potholes, you will hear a thumping, clunking type of noise. And that's a very good indication that the ball joint needs to be replaced. It could also be some other things. So let's jack up the vehicle and I'll show you some other things you can check. Now once you have the vehicle jacked off the ground, place your hands at the 6 o'clock position. You can also do 6 and 12, but because the ball joint lives right in this area, you want to exert as much force on that joint. So place both of your hands on the bottom and just shake. And as you can see, we have movement. Obviously, as you do this, it's a little hard to stick your head behind the car and see what's going on. If you don't have anyone with you, just grab a camera. You can use your phone, place it so the camera is looking right at the part. Hit record, and then just come out in front of the vehicle and just shake. And that way you can really see what's going on. So as you can tell, we need a new ball joint. Now I've already replaced the ball joint. I will have a video very, very shortly showing on how to remove a lower ball joint with just basic hand tools, which is quite a challenge on a Subaru. But if you're curious, I will have that up within a few days. Now, if this is not your problem, check this component right here. These are your end links for the front sway bar. And sometimes these start to go or they're just completely shot. But what you can do very quickly is just remove them from the vehicle and then go for a quick test drive. And if the noise is gone, you've quickly isolated where the problem is. Same with this guy right here. This is your front sway bar. And sometimes the bushings go. You have one here on the driver's side, and then you have another one right there on the passenger side. And something, again, you could do is, if it's easy enough, just remove this front sway bar from your vehicle. Go for a quick drive, obviously nothing too spirited because you don't have an anti-roll bar on the car now. But if the noise is gone, you've isolated where the problem is. And lastly, on the bottom here, we have the lower control arm, and sometimes these bushings dry out. Now these bushings are pressed in. So even if you remove this lower control arm and you have new bushings, you have to have the new bushings pressed in. So the flip side of that is you could purchase a lower control arm with the bushings pre-installed. So all that you're doing is removing the old one installing a brand new lower control arm, and you're done. You're paying a little bit more money, but you're saving a ton of time, in my opinion. And those are really the things to look for. If you do have an upper ball joint, which we don't here, but if you did have an upper ball joint, you can also check that. But again, this was our problem. So I hope this gives you a pretty decent idea on what to look for. I'd love to hear back from you guys on what you're doing to find the problem on your vehicle or what you've done in the past. That's the whole point why we're here, to help other people out. So please leave those comments. And again, if you want to see that video, I will have it up very, very shortly. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.